Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 5:31 p.m. Hope you enjoyed your Monday.
I did, thank you. Hey, I'm having cranberry tea today. I feel like every time I've made a video recently, it's been a different flavor tea. This one's by Bigelow, but I think they only make it in the winter, so if you want to try it, you better hurry up. So, this is all the books I read in February. I thought I'd do one of these. I've been kind of off schedule. I wanted to do my book videos either on Fridays or Saturdays, but I've had some personal stuff going on that's kind of thrown my whole schedule off. Today's Monday, but hopefully I'll be getting back on track here. The first book I read in February was The Indifferent Stars Above by Daniel James Brown, and is the Harrowing Saga of the Donner Party. And if you don't know who the Donner Party is, it was a group of pioneers, probably about 80, 90 people, traveled across the United States in covered wagons to get to California. And they were almost there. They decided to take a shortcut, which they thought was going to get them there quicker. Unfortunately, winter came earlier than expected that year, and they got stuck in what is now called the Donner Pass. And they tried to get out several times, but the snow was just too deep for their wagons or even for them to get out. And then food started to run out, and then people started to die, and then there was nothing left to eat, so they had to start eating their dead. And as you can imagine, this is quite a graphic book. So I had heard about them before. I'd seen a documentary, learned about them in school, but I thought, oh, I'd like to read this book in the winter. I thought this would be a good book for a snowstorm. We didn't get any snow this winter though, so I just went ahead and read it one weekend. But it's quite an intense book, so just be prepared if you're going to read that. It gets into quite a lot of detail towards the end. I never realized it's just an absolute nightmare. The end of their time there was a lot of them had gotten out already or died, and they came back to get the few remaining people, and just what those people must have experienced, I can't even imagine. It is worse. It sounds worse than a horror movie, what went on there. Yeah, so just be prepared. I hate to say enjoyed, but I did enjoy this book, which it's kind of hard to explain what I mean. It was a good book, but I don't think I'm gonna read it again. It's not an easy thing to read about. So after I finished that, I wanted to move on to something else, happier and brighter, and I wanted to just read something lighter. So I chose this book, which I've had on my shelf for years. It's called The Translation of Dr. Apelles by David Treuer. And then it says a love story. So I said, what could go wrong with a love story? That's just what I need, right? And I start this book, and it starts off with these two different villages, and it's winter, and it's snowing, and the people in these villages are trapped, and they've run out of food, and everyone starts to die, and I'm like, what is this? Are you kidding me? This is supposed to be a love story. I'm supposed to be getting away from the cannibalism. But luckily, there was no cannibalism. No, wolves came in and ate everybody in the village, except in each village there was one baby that survived, and later in life they fall in love, which sounds like it's going to be really sweet and all, but I don't know. The love story didn't do it for me. I just didn't care for this book. I got this book at the dollar store, and I can kind of see why it was at the dollar store. Not to say you won't enjoy it. I didn't care for it myself. But I was glad to finally have read that book, because I've had it forever. So I was glad to get that done. Next up, I I went really light this time, really light. And I read The Duplicate by William Sleator. And he writes teen science fiction stories. This book was fun. I love him. I only just discovered this author a few months ago, and I've just been reading anything and everything of his that I can find. And I actually just finished another of his books. So, I don't know, there might be a video just on the author soon. I really love him. I never would have expected to love an author that wrote a book called Interstellar Pig, but it turns out I've loved almost every single book of his I've read so far. So there will probably be a video on him in the future. So The Duplicate is about this boy, and he finds a box on the beach, and it has a button, and he pushes the button, and he discovers that this box can duplicate whatever it's pointed at, and he needs to get out of something that he doesn't want to do. So he gets the great idea to duplicate himself, but that turns out to not be such a great idea. And it was a fun book, and it has a lot of atmosphere. I liked all the beach parts that take place at the beach. I thought it was very atmospheric. I just enjoyed it. I like him. Alright, so next up, I did a video on these two already. I read Night Life, Night Language, Sleep and Dreams, and then I read Nightmareland. And I'll put the link to that video where I talk about those down below. Out of all of these books that I read for February, I have to say Nightmareland was my favorite. I definitely recommend this book. I can see myself reading this book again. I had so much fun with that book. It was a relaxing, fun book, entertaining book. So, and then I did read, at the very beginning of the month, I read Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis, which is just a novella. I read that online. I found it online. PDF, you can find it. And I had read that before a couple times, and I think I might have read part of Franz Kafka's Trial, or maybe I read the whole thing. I can't remember for sure. Read it in the past when I was like a teenager. But the thing is, I've decided I'm definitely going to read more Franz Kafka very, very soon. I'm thinking of getting a short story collection of his and see how that goes. But I love the Metamorphosis. I think I'm going to like more of his stories. I'm going to give him a try. Okay. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again really soon.